Anyone want to come up and do a dance?
Right.
Okay. We're good to go. Honest, we are. Welcome to October's meeting. Sorry again for the delays. I'd like to start by having the first slide up and acknowledging the traditional elders of the land on which we meet, which is the Darug people. And I pay our respects to elders past, present and future. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. We have a few new members this month. I don't know if any of them are here tonight. Holler if you're here. Angela Ang, Leah Sangul. Oh no, it's only two, sorry. Are either of those people here? No, welcome new members if you are in the ether somewhere. And our principle of the month is use and value diversity. Does anybody want to share a little insight into this principle on use and value diversity? That's not me. Yeah, well, you can preempt your presentation. No.
Anybody know what it means? Or what the point of it is? Come on. Real Hermes.
Really?
Yeah.
Use and value diversity. Okay, yeah, in your permaculture garden, if that doesn't. Can the folk online hear any of that?
I've never seen it actually do it.
Cecilia's put on a stronger system of resilience. You can have diversity in the workplace, which I'm assuming everyone's workplace is here today is screaming out.
Diversity of weeds is definitely what I have as well.
I think diversity of people is just so important, and I just think the more everybody steps up to be who they really are and show us what they've really got, the better and more interesting our world is. I always think about people when I think about the diversity. Yeah.
Fabulous. All right, let's move on.
Well, and just on that, do we think that traditional agriculture, where we have one crop, is better than having a garden bed with a variety of things? So it's better. Trick question.
Diversity in the garden, definitely. Diversity, monocropping, that's what happens when you kill your soil, overuse pesticides, wonder why you have 40,000 different pests that kill all your crops. All right, so yeah, moving on. So what to grow this month? I think there's a slightly long list there. As we usually say, check out the app, which I never remember the name of, Gardenate. But things to do in the garden, I feel like Costa now thinks that you can do in your garden next weekend. Keep on top of the weeds, top up the mulch, start your tomatoes and sunflowers, green manure for the dormant veggie patch. I do love that we have to start the tomatoes. The tomatoes started in my garden a month ago in all of the patches that I cleaned for all the other things. They started themselves. Temperate. Yep. Yes. Now, another session of Meet the Management Committee. So there's Pat and Philip is online, yeah?
Yes.
So we do need to be able to talk to, well, let's do Pat first then, because you're at the easy. No, you're here.
I've written a little spiel. You can hear me? I am the team coordinator for Living Skills, and Jenny is helping me. And together we make up the Living Skills team, which is brilliant. And we organize and facilitate the running of workshops throughout the year for the benefit of PSN members. And our aim is to assist members to learn a range of homecraft skills, enabling you to be more self-reliant and create more sustainable households. And some of the workshops are run by professionals, and some are run by members who wish to share their skills with others. And we're always looking for suggestions from members. And if you've got any ideas or you're willing to share some of your skills with us, just give me a call or send me an email, whatever. And we're always looking for new ideas, new suggestions, new workshops, new members. And that's it.
No, it's not. I have some more questions for you. So what first attracted you to the role? Why did you decide to help?
I kind of got conned into it, as we all do. Margaret kind of talked me into, and because I love crafting and I love learning new things, and my belief is that I get a lot of joy out of sharing my skills with people, and if some people can learn a few of the things that I have learned along the way, it just makes it so rewarding. And it's great fun, and it's a good way to meet other members. Hard work sometimes, but all in all, good fun.
So much skills to share. Yeah.
It's good fun.
All right.
Thank you. Any
Now,
other
can we-
questions?
Does anyone else have any questions for Pat? About this role?
John? Yeah.
So Pat, do you plan out the year as to what workshops you're going to have? or-
We start planning early in sort of January or November, December. I've already thought of a few things and a few suggestions have come up. But we try and do at least one, or we've been doing 2 every month. So, you know, it's kind of 1 a month generally. And we try and have a guideline, but it's flexible and changing according to the needs of people and suggestions. And somebody might come up with a brilliant idea or a brilliant skill, and we're always open to that. So if you've got any ideas, come along. Okay.
Now, can we get Philippa on the screen? Because she's currently featuring as a green running man in that corner. Probably just slightly.
Still sharing the.
If you stop screen share and we make her the spotlight, then that should get her on the screen.
Yay.
Hi.
Hi, Philippa.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you tell us what role you're currently in?
The garden team leader.
And what do you do in this role?
In a nutshell, basically talk to people who would like to have a perma bee and help kind of find those people as well by talking to other people on the management committee and other members. And then talk to those people about their ideas and their plan. And it can really help to go and have a look at their place, like their space, whatever the space is that they want to do something in beforehand, and help them to decide on what we'll be working on that day, the scope, I guess, and give them tips on how they can plan. So it's up to the person who's having the perma bee to have all their materials ready and their plan and all of that sort of thing ready, but you can help them as the garden team leader to define what they need and maybe put them in touch with other people from PSN who might have ideas or experience or expertise. And then you coordinate the tasks on the day or ahead of the day and help on the day to, you know, do the safety briefing and just basically be there to help with whatever needs helping or coordinating on the day.
Excellent. So what first attracted you to doing this role?
I was a member of PSN for a few years, and because I just got so much out of being a member of PSN, I felt that it was really important that I contribute something back. So I guess out of all of the different roles, the thing that I felt I could most help with was the garden side of things. That's a big passion for me. I mean, obviously permaculture in general, but I just love being in gardens and outside. So I thought, well, I'll give that a crack.
Cool. Pretty much answered most of these questions. Was there anything surprising or unexpected, positive that came out of the role?
Yeah, heaps of stuff. I guess, you know, we already touched on the start of the meeting, diversity, and I think the diversity of people that come to PermaBees is fantastic. The people that you get to meet and mingle with, really, yeah, diverse range of people. You get to have really interesting discussions and chat with them while you're helping, you know, giving someone a hand in their garden. So you never quite know what sort of people you might meet and what interesting things they have to say. And also the diversity of gardens that you get to see and help out in, and again, the diversity of ideas and plans that people have. You know, we all have different ideas, and you're always learning something new. That's probably something that I love about it, is that I've got to know people on the management committee better. I feel more connected with PSN and other members because I sort of have met more people and I see them more regularly. So I remember their names and faces more. And yeah, and there's always something to learn. And for me, PermaBees are about everyone coming together and everyone has something to contribute. So yeah, I just love being in a group of random people and everyone's got something to contribute and something that we can, you know, knowledge to share, and also something that we can all learn.
Great. Does anybody have any other questions for Philippa?
Is that her garden in the background?
Is that your garden? In the
No, I went there a couple of weeks ago. It's at Mount Gambier. It's a big, it's called the Umpherston Sinkhole. Check it out. It's a big sinkhole with a garden in it. It's pretty cool.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
That was you're doing a fantastic job. Well done. Thank you, Philippa.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, we've had some really interesting PermaBees recently. Yeah, it's been really good.
All right.
Cool.
Is everyone seeing the slides online?
We are.
Yes. Yeah. The slides are showing now.
Cool. So at the end of every year, we have we'll have our AGM, and all of the positions on the management committee are vacated, and people have to renominate. Some of the team are quite happy to continue in the current roles they're in, although, you know, anybody wants to take on doing the newsletter instead of me, happy for someone else to take over. But we definitely know that we need quite a number of people on the committee this year, including the positions of treasurer, secretary, garden team, events, advocacy, librarian, and social media comms. Particularly if you're good on website building, we'd love to hear from you. So these are all positions that are coming up. We would love to have some more fresh blood on the management committee. It's a great team. I've enjoyed this. Well, I've enjoyed the last couple of years. But yeah, come and chat to any of the management committee about something. If you feel like you want to step up into something and nothing there really triggers you, make up a name and come and talk to us. And if you feel that there's a gap somewhere that you can fill, please come and talk to us and help.
Can I add that if you just like to be part of the team, such as the living skills team or You don't have to, you can only contribute, you know, for a while. Nothing to happen
Yep.
during
Join a team.
any team that you're interested in.
Yeah.
Just join.
Particularly, I think particularly garden team where it's good to have those, well, all of the teams, it's good to have extra bodies. All right. So now, who was doing this one?
Brainstorm My Garden was Cecilia's.
Ah, right. Oh, these are the events from last, right?
Yeah. And then the photos.
Okay. Does anybody does Cecilia want to tell everyone how that went? She's there, right? Yes. I don't think Jess is around though, is she? Jess and Sue.
I am around, but I did a PowerPoint, but it was too late to be included. We'll do it another time.
Okay. House painting in Asquith, that was Jess's house, and I think it was Jess, Phil and Sue.
Yes.
Very last minute, because if you don't know Jess and Phil, they've been renovating their house for about 1 million years, and they're having a slight problem with rain, and they needed a couple of dry days for painting, so it was a very last minute call out, but she did get some help. Seed savers, Peter. Do you want to do a little update on the last seed savers? Yeah. Come up here so we can hear.
So as you can see, we've got a greenhouse now, and we had a really big turnout, and we planted a lot of seedlings, and they're all beginning to pop up. And the idea is to grow our own seed and for the bank instead of relying on other members to bring it in. But it's always good for the members to bring them in. And we normally start collecting seed at end of summer when everything bolts and goes to seed. Yeah, it's coming along really good. And I've got 7 raised garden beds now, which I'm going to, 2 of them, I'll keep them for PSN. Yeah, so.
And when's your next event?
It'll be in November, but I haven't made up a date yet. And I'll let everybody know.
So keep an eye out for the next seed saving event. Mushroom farm. Now that was died. Do you want to come and?
Oh, we had a lovely day.
No, you'll need to come up here because people can't hear you from there. Sorry.
Thanks. We had a lovely day. It was beautiful weather, and we all drove up in, well, only 3 or 4 cars went because we carpooled, and we went into the mushroom farm, and very personable young fellow called Chris gave us a talk and told us all sorts of interesting things, and he knew his stuff, answered the questions, and that was good. And we all came home with a great big bag of beautiful fresh mushrooms, and I'm still eating mine. And they're also doing oyster mushrooms too. So he gave us some of them as well. Sorry?
Was it oysters and the standard mushrooms?
Oysters what?
Oyster mushrooms. Oysters.
Oh, those ones that are like big fans going out. What were
Oyster mushrooms as well as white and brown.
Sorry, I'm not hearing very well. Got to get my hearing aids fixed. Yeah, and then we went to Bulgandry Aboriginal. It was quite a nice bushwalk. The bush flowers were out, and several of our party press expressed some scepticism about it being genuine Aboriginal work because it does look different to most Aboriginal work. Who knows? But anyway, it was interesting. Thanks.
Okay, coming up this month, soy wax candle making next weekend, along with processing coffee beans at home, pest control number 2. Is that your?
Yeah.
Ooh, oh, this is the.
We're basically in discussion, and we're talking about the big and nasty, particularly rats, and possums and stuff.
Cool. Design for suburban permaculture So that's the second two events for those people who've forgotten that they started the first two however many months ago, 5th and 19th of November. And then we've got repurposing packaging for gift giving on the 19th of November. And there's a seed saving event that will be going up as well. And there'll probably be a few other events, but just keep an eye out on the website for the next lot of events. And story time, Wendy. Come and join us at the front and take this.
It's a very appropriate little picture, actually, as I will explain. I think there's a permaculture principle about making the most out of your disasters or something like that. Anyway, I was panicking all the way up the highway here because there was a prang that held me up by 40 minutes. And I thought, oh, I've got to talk at 7 o'clock and I've got to organise a supper. I've got to bring all this junk in. Well, yeah, I made it with 40 minutes to spare because everyone else was late. And I didn't have to worry about the milk for supper because we had cross wires and doubled up on supper. So there's a lot of food, not many people. So I hope you've all got big appetites. Sorry, people online, you're just missing out there. And I had some lovely pictures to show you, but they were on my phone. I dropped my phone in a puddle of water and it's at the repair shop. So that's a whole other story. Okay, but I just wanted to tell you that I retired in June and I've decided to take on a whole new career as a rag and bone woman. And you know what that is. It's someone who goes around collecting junk and selling it. Well, I don't sell it. I donate it to charity and give it to any people who, you know, can make good use of it. And so I brought a whole lot of stuff tonight and some kind people helped me carry it all in, and half of it disappeared on the way in because they claimed it. So that's, you know, that's your reward for helping out. But look, it started when I wanted to build a little fun garden in my courtyard at home and put some indoor, you know, pot plants around. And I went around. North Sydney Council has a curbside cleanup once every 2 weeks, and I wanted to pick up a few pots and things and fix them up and put them in the garden. Well, I was just stunned at the stuff that goes out on the rubbish heap every fortnight. You'd furnish a house every time and more, and you know, the waste. So, you know, I've got a little face, ceramic face in my courtyard, and I wish I could show you a picture of her. I call her Iramnok because she's reverse Mary Kondo, and she's something that I think a child made and no longer sparked joy, so she was tossed out. And now she sparks joy for everyone who comes into my courtyard, and she's got a kind of a wry smile but a perplexed look because she watches all the little creatures playing among the greenery and you know, thinks, well, I hope they spark joy for other people too. And I want to, you know, spark joy for, you know, the stuff that I wanted to show you a picture. I've got a Mazda 3 and I put the back seats down, and I would, on one day's collection, I would fill that up 3 or 4 times to the brim, take it back to my garage, sort it out. I take a whole boot full of stuff to Vinnie's, good quality stuff, a lot of it not even out of its original packaging, you know, expensive stuff, you have no idea. So they can make money out of it. Books, CDs, DVDs go to Lifeline in Linfield. They've got a collection depot there. I took 8 bags full. That was just 1 week's collection, you know. And you know, I gave a whole lot of, gave away about 6 power tools yesterday to someone who wanted those in perfect working order. A little bit of stuff, small selection of stuff here tonight. So Pat Hicks wanted an aluminium pan for her dyeing. I brought 4 for her tonight. Mandy wanted some Venetian blinds to make plant labels, tons of those. So look, if there's anything you want, I can put it on my shopping list. And, you know, a friend asked me a couple of weeks ago if she wanted a spade, a pair of shears and a rake. Found them the next day, you know, good condition. She had to wait. She asked me a few months ago for a little cane chair for her teddy bear. Well, that had to wait a few months. But, you know, anything, you would just anything. If you're not in a hurry for it, and, you know, chances are I can find it. So if you let me know. I've also got some items, some large bulky items for immediate clearance. I've got pictures of them here, and you can let me know if you want those, and anything that's on the table, you know, grab it and go. Yeah, poor old Aramnock, she worries about why people get this stuff in the first place and what happens to it when you chuck it out. But if we can save a little bit of waste, well and good.
We need to rename you Madame Cholet, or any of the other Wombles you'd like to take a claim for. I'm also a Womble because I spent yesterday trying not to go out of my house because it's council cleanup. Because every time I go out of my house, I come back with a bag full of stuff. So yeah, just we're almost at speaker time. Don't forget, there's the swap table. There's still plants available on there and all sorts of other delights that various people have brought in. The library table for our members to borrow one of our vast range of fabulous books. And yes, if you want to be, yes.
We still in the discussion.
Sorry?
Can I just raise an issue about, sorry, I interrupted you, about the Christmas parties and what's going to happen if everyone are doing separate ones?
Okay, so Christmas, we're going back to doing the annual general meeting in the hall rather than separately, and we'll have a Christmas do after that. But local groups are welcome to organise their own Christmas parties as they see fit on whatever day they want to do.
Okay.
So back to the old style, but pre-COVID thing, which when we tried to align, and it wasn't making it. So yeah, go forth and be merry, and stop talking about Christmas. It's only bloody October. I nearly fainted when I walked in. Before it was even my birthday's beginning of October, and the weekend before my birthday, I walked into Aldi and it was Christmas time, and I was just, I had to look at my watch and my clock and like, have I just skipped a month or something? But yeah. Any other questions before we move on to our next speaker? Our real speaker, our designated speaker for this evening. I'd like to introduce you to Jordan. All the details up there. Some of you will have come across Jordan at various events. I came across him when he was running for, was it Linfield Council? Ryde Council. So you may have seen some coverage in newsletters at the end of last year when the various different councils were running. But Jordan's going to speak to us tonight about journaling and how that will help your permaculture practice. Come right up.
While I'm getting set up, did everyone bring a notepad and pen by any chance? Did anyone not bring one? I saw some spare ones on the ground over there. Are they free use?
Yes, Wendy brought those.
Yeah, Wendy, are they ones that we distribute, do you think? I'll send this around if you would like a copy of the presentation. I've got a little clipboard where you can put your email address on there, and I'll email it to you afterwards. Yeah, I'll take my mask off, I think, too. Does anyone not have a notebook?
We're going to use the electronic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Am I speaking loud enough for everyone to hear, or do I need to project a bit more? Okay, at the back, you can hear me okay? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not the loudest speaker.
That's why you said we're journaling.
Yeah. Can everyone hear me? Do I need to hold it? Yeah.
It is clear.
It's clear?
Press mute, press absolutely the exact moment you want to mute yourself.
Hold it. If need be.
Hey Matt, can you hear Jordan without him holding the microphone?
Yeah, so it's clearer when he holds it, if that's possible. If not,
I'll hold it and I just won't walk around too much. Cool. All right, well, thank you. Warami, everyone. That's the word in Darug language, or Darug Dalang for hello or good day. So can everyone say Warami or Warami or Warami or Warami? So that's a language that's been spoken on this land for thousands of years. I too would also like to acknowledge that we're on Aboriginal land, unceded land of the Darug people, and pay my respect to their elders past and present, and also extend my respect to any First Nations people in the room or online, as well as our elders, Indigenous or non-Indigenous. The Darug Nation covers quite a large area, pretty much the entirety of the Sydney Basin, from the Pacific Ocean to the east, to the Hawkesbury River in the north, the Nepean River to the west, and the Georges River in the south. So it's quite a large area. An important reason why we do an acknowledgement of country is to recognise and remind us that the Darug have cared for country for time immemorial. At the recent PSN excursion to the Indigigro Nursery and Social Enterprise down at La Perouse, we heard from Peter Cooley, a proud Bidjigal leader and founder of the Indigigro and First Hand Solutions. And he described country as everything that exists in nature, in the natural world. So this photo here is a picture of country very, very close to where I live in the city of Ryde. And this is, I guess, something for us as permaculture people, knowing that permaculture's roots are in Indigenous knowledge. One of the key aims of Indigigro, to quote Peter, is to bring back country into our urbanized and built up environments. So for their organization, it's so much more than simply selling plants at a retail nursery. And being a permaculturalist, or Permi, is about building a permanent culture and regenerative agricultural systems. So as we share this land with others, it's an ancient land with others, we have a responsibility to care for country too. This can be some food for thought on how you might be able to bring back country through your permaculture thinking, your designs, and your actions. It may even be something you can journal about tonight, which is a really nice segue into the presentation this evening. I guess by way of brief intro, Kat's already introduced me a little bit. I've been a permaculture PSN member for about 5 years. COVID has kind of gotten the way for me to come along to a lot of meetings, but I've recently done the suburban design course, which has been really good, and I would recommend it if you haven't done it before. I've been journaling a lot longer than that and have found it to be really beneficial for my permaculture journey, which is ongoing, non-linear, and also unique, just like yours. Before we jump in, I'd like to sort of gauge the relative experience in the room when it comes to journaling. So if you could raise your hand if you've ever journaled before, just raise it up high. All right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so maybe a quarter of the room. So just keep your hand raised if you've ever journaled about permaculture before, and lower your hand if you haven't. Okay, so five down to 2. That's really interesting. Okay, and then, thank you, you can lower your hand. And if you didn't put your hand up, if you could raise it, not to name or shame you, but if you could just raise your hand and keep it raised if you are open to giving it a go tonight. Yeah, and if your hand is down right now, raise your hand if you are also willing to give it a go tonight. All right, that's almost everyone. That's really good to see. So thank you for that feedback. You can lower your hand. I guess with all that experience and interest that we've unearthed in the room tonight, I was rather surprised to find that there was very little to no literature in the permaculture body of knowledge with the relationship of journaling and permaculture. So as part of my permaculture teaching certificate that I'm currently undertaking, this I thought would be a very good area to explore. Hence why I put this together and I'm sharing it with you, hopefully to extend the benefits that I've also gained from doing so. Next slide. Sorry, I haven't been telling you. That's all right, thank you. So I'm preaching to the converted, I'm sure, why permaculture is so important. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and I guess there has been for many years. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things happening, and the 2020s is considered the most decisive decade for action. Right now, we have the chance to not only minimize the harshest impacts of anthropogenic climate change, ecocide, other tipping points that we're now facing, but to also regeneratively heal the planet so we can thrive for generations to come. So when I think of permaculture, I see it as a solution to many of the problems we're facing, these big problems. Permaculture can be defined in many ways. It's often described as a revolution disguised as gardening. I don't know if you've heard that before, but I quite like that. On the next slide. So when I'm asked to define what permaculture is in relatively simple terms, I like to give this response, that permaculture is a movement that allows us to work with nature, and that's key, with nature, to improve how we grow, how we live, grow our food, and regenerate our planet. We've already seen this tonight. Does everyone remember the principle for the month? Very good. Value and, what was it? Value and use, diversity. So the three ethics are also in the middle: earth care, people care, and fair share. And yes, permaculture is about gardening, but it's so much more. And these principles and ethics are very much integrated into other aspects of life, as is permaculture. Permaculture doesn't require us to all be green-thumbed, semi or fully off-grid homesteaders. Some people are very much about this, and it's amazing. It's very, very admirable. But for others, it may not be their particular strength or interest right now, or there may be limited opportunities to do such a thing. Some of us like to contribute by sharing surplus resources, sharing knowledge, lending labor. Others might like to apply a specific skill set, such as writing or drawing, to convey important permaculture messages to a larger audience. We're also coming at permaculture from different lived experiences with different levels of knowledge and application. And that diversity that we were talking about earlier is what enriches permaculture and our community. So you've got your phones or your writing implement and your pad, and hopefully at home you can play along too. The first exercise I'd like you to consider is simply writing a line or two on the page describing how you're currently living in a permaculture way, or how you think you could do this. So how you're currently living in a permaculture way, in a way that is unique and fits within your lifestyle, or if you have aspirations, what that may look like. And think about the 12 principles and 3 ethics as well. So I'll give you a minute to think about that. And it may be going off grid, homesteading, and being a super gardener, or it could be something else. So just 1 or 2 lines on how you're currently or would like to be living in a permaculture way. Still see some people writing, so we'll just give it another minute. This doesn't have to define you for the rest of your existence, but something to think about when you walk out of here this evening. Okay, I can see a couple of lines written, I think. But very encouraging to see the pens moving around. All right. I'll continue, but feel free to write what you're currently finishing off. On the next slide, I've heard a few things recently from people in this room and a few people online that I would like to share anonymously with you. So the first one is, I wish I had spent more time designing my garden before planting things in the ground. I would have saved a lot of time, money, and effort. I don't know if that rings true to any of you, but you may have experienced it. The next one is, I probably spend too much time researching permaculture, reading and watching videos, than actually doing it and applying what I've learned. And the third anecdote I wanted to share is that it's been particularly cold and wet this winter, and I struggle to find the motivation to get out into my garden. So these are a few comments in discussion with some of you that I've heard recently, and I wonder if you can relate to any of these. Yeah, I see some nods in the room. And I guess the whole thing about journaling is it gives us an opportunity to reflect on some of these feelings and experiences, but we'll talk about that more in a moment. So the next slide, thank you, is more about journaling itself. So journaling, like permaculture journaling, can take different forms and it can be used in different ways. We have some people using their phones tonight. I have an example of just a little notebook here, and even my wallet is a notebook with a pen. So if I lose it, I lose my credit card and my deepest, darkest thoughts. But I also use the voice memo feature on my phone. I walk around like a crazy person sometimes in the streets. People think I'm on the phone, but I'm actually talking to myself, processing thoughts and capturing ideas. So there are different ways and methods, accessible methods for those who may not be able to hold a pen. That's something to think about as well. Specifically on the next slide, you can permaculture journal to enhance your everyday observations and interactions through a permaculture lens. So it's quite simple, but thinking about those principles and ethics, that's the kind of lens that permaculture journaling is trying to get us to focus our efforts and thinking into. So this helps us better connect with country, the land that we're on, and the various ecological systems and their relationships. It's a powerful tool you can use as part of practicing self-care and supporting your mental health, which is very important these days. And it's a tool for healing and regeneration, so you can sustain your efforts, looking after the important people in your life, your garden, your community, and the planet. On the next slide, I shared some of these adjectives with another group, and they really liked them, so I thought I would include them in the presentation today. Permaculture can be many things. It can be any of these, it could be all of these things for you. Permaculture journaling could be, what is it, introspective, retrospective, reflective, narrative, illustrative, expository or descriptive, interpretive, therapeutic, healing, restorative, regenerative, and ultimately adaptive to your situation. But it can be what you want it to be or what you need it to be in any given moment. Next slide, thank you. Before we jump into the next exercise, those 3 real-life anecdotes that I shared earlier, regretting not having spent enough time designing before digging, too much researching and not doing enough, practical, and finding a supportive way to stay connected with our gardens when we're not feeling so inclined. We can use permaculture journaling in these ways to keep us connected. So ultimately, it's there to accompany you as a trusted friend throughout your continuous, non-linear and unique permaculture journey. So those with a paper and pen or a phone, this next exercise is to teleport us out of this room without physically leaving this room or your chair that you're sitting in at home. And what we want to do is close our eyes, if you could all do that, and picture yourself in your garden at home, or if you don't have a garden at home, a natural space that is of importance to you, a special place. And take a moment to just settle yourself there and look around at what's happening. Is it sunny? Is it raining? Is the wind blowing? Is it cold? Is it warm? And then what can you see? Are there birds? Are there animals, insects? Are there things growing that you want to be there? So if you want to open your eyes, if they're still closed, look down at the page in front of you or your phone and write something that you're grateful for in what you saw there. Something that you observed, maybe interacted with, something that stood out in what you visualized, and just note down what was going on. So 1 or 2 lines and just stop there. If you're able to connect the observation or interaction and its relationship to the permaculture ethics principles, maybe 1, write that down too. So we're thinking about it through a permaculture lens. Something that you're grateful for and what you saw. So for me, It's been raining a lot in Sydney, as you are all aware. And I guess I'm grateful for all the rain we've been having because it gives me the opportunity to collect some of that energy and store it for future use. So trying to put a positive spin on the ridiculous amount of rain we've been experiencing. Cool. Just finish up what you're writing. I see most people have finished now. So that's it. You're hereby now ordained as a qualified permaculture journaler. It's that easy, but I just wanted to use this exercise and the other exercise to show that there are different ways that we can journal in a permaculture way. On the next slide, just a few tips and tricks on how you can take this with you when you walk out of here this evening. I suggest working with what you have, not throwing it out unnecessarily, but if you have a notebook lying around that's blank at home, use that before you go out and buy a fancy book. We want to start where we are, use what we have, and grow from there. We also want to keep it simple and be consistent. So this is really about building a long-term habit for maximum benefit. And then scheduling a time. I'm not sure what everyone is like, but I know if it's not on my calendar or on my to-do list, I'm very unlikely to do it, especially whilst building a new habit. It's pretty important to carve out that time, whether it's in the morning, lunchtime, maybe if you have a lunch break, or in the evening when you get home, it's not too dark, but picking a time and committing to that. And then on the next slide, go outside. I think that's the trick, even if it's raining and cold and not looking that appealing. If you can go outside and it's safe to do so, permaculture is about experiencing nature and connecting with our systems that are going on. We want to start small, so writing today's date and just focusing on constraining yourself to one line and stopping there is better than not doing it at all. It can be very overwhelming when it comes to journaling to think that we have to write poetry and an essay, but really it's important about building a consistent practice over quantity. And then bonus journaling. So that's what I call anything else that spills over onto the second line and beyond. So if you feel compelled, keep writing, but the goal is really just to write one line a day, and then we can tick that off, focus on the rest of our day and move on. So that's it. That's the introduction to permaculture. And I hope it's enough to get you started. We really want to encourage that design thinking, the principles and the ethics in what we're doing, that be reflective, be retrospective, think about the information that you're gaining from these workshops and these meetings, capture it in your journal, and then it gives you something to reference later on. The other thing is I have a feedback survey, if I could pass this around. So as part of my permaculture teaching certificate, it'd be really nice to get some feedback on the content and what you enjoyed, what you didn't like, and then how it could be improved. You can be very critical about my presentation style as well, because any sort of feedback can help me be a better presenter too. Feel free to add your name on the top or leave it anonymous. That's not a problem. And the sheets going around, if you would like a copy of the presentation, I have a 15-page guide just summarizing a lot of these points, and I can email that to you after tonight. So yeah, Didjariga, that's thank you in Darug Dalang, Darug language, and Yanu, that's goodbye. So can everyone say Yanu in one? Yeah, wonderful, thank you. That's it. Any questions before sit down?
So what is your normal day in terms of incorporating journaling?
What does my normal day look like? I like to journal in the morning. I have a couple of books with prompts, which really help me to think about different ideas and concepts, not necessarily permaculture related, maybe philosophical prompts, or it might be something spiritual. So that's the way that I like to do my journaling. But I'll journal about learning, so doing my permaculture design certificate and my teaching certificate. I'll also use my journal as a way to synthesize information and apply that to other things that I can incorporate.
So what sort of length do you journal now?
It varies. It really depends on how much time I have. If it's a full day, maybe just that one line. It's really about, for me, maintaining that consistent practice. Other days I'll sit down and really reflect and think forward, think back. And yeah, really varies. I fit it around my schedule. Yeah, for me, it's, I think, processing a lot of what happens during the day, from interactions with other people. Like this presentation, I'll sit down and reflect on. So I'm learning from it, I'm improving. In my garden, when I'm observing and interacting with things that I've learned from other people and what I'm reading. So really just try and use it as a tool for me to retain information, because mine's like a sieve with everything that goes on during the day. But it just gives me something to refer back to. And I think actually the physical process of writing is very different to typing it on the computer.
Do you want to just
Oh yeah, sorry everyone. I'm not repeating myself. Yeah, did everyone catch that online? Maybe I'll type it up and send it. Yeah, does that answer your questions? Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Just the difference between a garden diary and journaling, and do you ever merge the two, or is it something you recommend keeping separate?
Yeah. Garden journaling and nature journaling are, I guess, two types of journaling. Garden journaling is recording observations like the weather conditions, the amount of rain that we've been having, when we planted certain types of seeds and start seeing them germinate and so forth, crop rotation. Nature journaling can be very much about like a naturalist who goes out and observes plant species and even takes specimens and documents, draws, and they get very creative in nature journaling. So two different types. I think the permaculture journaling complements those, and really it's about what your focus is with permaculture. So that exercise that we attempted, the first one, thinking about how we're living in a permaculture way and applying the principles and ethics, or how we would like to do that, I think would suit very well as incorporating the garden journal and all that stuff. Yeah.
I've been keeping up for about 3 years, but mainly like garden diary. But I had all these grand plans about what I was going to write about and stuff, and then you forget to do it for a week at a time, and then go, holy cow, you just get it out. As long as I've just ditched all the detail. I've ditched all the sort of ideals that I had, and just gone, I just need to get this done every day, 5 minutes every day, do something.
Yeah. I know some journalists, not permaculture journalists, but they do their morning pages. And it's all just about nutting out. I think the magic number for some people is 3. You just do 3 pages, you do your morning pages, and it's literally just what comes out. And I guess as permaculture practitioners, it probably would speak to that. Like I'm sure, but yeah, the first exercise that you did with us, I could keep on writing for a long time. So, but I can see how the practice of doing it daily would really galvanize how we're choosing to live our lives and what practices we emphasize that we're already practicing, or, you know, shining a light on something that's not really in line with the ethics or the principles. So it's really timely because it's something I've been thinking of. So thank you. Yeah.
The goal is having 1 year upon 1 year, because when you look back at last year's stuff, you see what you were planting and what you were doing and why, and the weather was different and why something isn't working this year. So like your patterns to details stuff, it like just explodes your knowledge, your acceleration of knowledge gathering. It's amazing.
Any other questions? Any online?
So is there any difference between journaling and writing a diary?
There could be. I think. Yeah, sorry. So the question is there a difference between journaling and writing in a diary? I don't see too much of a distinction, but there could be. So you may have different books for different purposes. The one I'm holding in my hand is just a blue notebook, and that is more for my garden, my one line requisite. The one that I have in my wallet is to capture ideas during the day. The voice memo, as I mentioned, is, you know, for different things. I then have, I live my life on the computer for work, so I have a digital system as well where I capture to-dos and all that. So again, it just depends on what works for you. But really, I think the permaculture journal, pen and paper is really good because that's transportable into the garden or outdoors if you're going somewhere in the bush or whatever it may be.
Another great thing is photos. Just taking regular photos of set from the same place in the garden month on month on month on month is like amazing. If you can get,
Where do you save it to?
well, you just put it on your own computer somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's probably enough Q&A, but happy to have a chat after as well. Yeah, any questions online? Any in the chat?
Oh, who are you doing teacher training with, Cecilia?
Oh, good question, Cecilia. The question was, who am I doing the teacher training with? I'm doing a combined permaculture design certificate and permaculture teacher certificate with the Permaculture Education Institute. Morag Gamble is the head of that. And it's purely online, COVID and all that. But yeah, it's a good course, good online community. It's as fast as you work through the material. Yeah, I won't tell you when I registered. But like I said, it's a non-linear, continuous, unique journey, the permaculture for all of us. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a real green thumb. Those plants I've had in my possession for 2-3 days, and they're already wiltering. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there, but yeah, I think it's worthwhile. I'm learning a lot from it. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, everyone. Stick around. There is tea and coffee. Is it the right? Or I think Ride Group and did another group decided to come and help do dinner. Anyway, there's food. If you could just help move the chairs away, and then we'll get some food out. And I can't hear you. Yeah. I don't know where.
Thank you to everyone for coming on Zoom. We will see you next month, hopefully.
Sorry, I didn't realize that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
your